Speedbowl Scene, a weekly auto racing magazine covering the events of the Waterford Speedbowl. 1995 brings a new management team to the track. During the 1990 Speedbowl Scene, will be covering the race results, in-depth interviews with drivers and crew members, also interviews with track officials covering all the new rules for the 1995 racing season.
Hi, welcome to another edition of Speedbowl Scene. I'm your host, MG Geer. Coming up on this week's show, we're going to have an interview with Mike Gaida, plus all the highlights from Saturday night's racing. So stay tuned for the fastest half hour in auto racing, Speedbowl Scene. Hi, we're back on Speedbowl Scene. On this week's program, our guest, Mike Gaida. Mike, thanks for joining us on the show.
Hi, nice to have us with you.
Thanks. It's nice to be here. Now, Mike, tell us a little bit about the shop. There's a lot of history in this place.
This shop was built, the original front part of it was built in 1965, and it was for my dad and his brothers and their buddies. They all had race cars. And we had as many as 7 or 8 race cars here at a time. And then as we had so many race cars over time, the place grew. We had a section in 72 and another section in 85. And now it's nice and big and room enough for all of us. So even though we have 2 less brothers up here now, we still have it full of friends and equipment.
Right. Now, your other 2 brothers, where do they go? What are they doing now?
Bobby and Dennis both moved to Charlotte to work for Moroso, the Grand National team. They've been working for them for a couple of years, and their engine shop was always in Clinton. And it was pretty cumbersome for that team to deal with the engines being made in Connecticut while they raced down south. So this year they took the whole engine shop, moved it lock, stock, and barrel down south, and Dennis and Bobby went with them.
Oh, okay. So now it's just you and David this year?
Right.
And is it a little different running without?
It's a lot different. I miss them a lot.
Bobby.
I miss them a lot. We talk a lot on the phone, and in fact, they still built my motor for me this year. That was
down at the shop and shipped it up here.
We were lucky enough to find somebody driving up, and they brought the engine up for me. It was kind of a logistical mess to get all the parts down and that back, but it's nice to have them build it because they're the best there are.
Sounds pretty good. A little bit of an advantage there?
Yeah, they do a really nice job, yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's reliable is what I like. It doesn't break.
Right.
Knock on wood.
And also new for the 1995 season is you built a new car.
Yes, we did. We got started a little late, and you and Terry know about that. You came up here when it was just a bare chassis, but...
well, that's nothing new for you. Usually starting about August.
Well, we keep busy, but what happened was everybody needed the jig this winter, and I just had to wait until March to get started. So about March 15th, we got the jig. We only have 1 jig for all the chassis. And I built the thing. We started building it, me, Cochise, Bob Brown, and Chris Abrams, and Dave Banks, and John Stockford, the whole crew. We banged away at it for about a month and got it done, and it came out pretty nice, I think.
So Thursday before opening day, which was Saturday, the car was a bare frame with a dashboard in it.
Yeah, and Terry can attest to that.
And then you bolted the whole car together and got it there Saturday.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty, but it worked.
It was there.
Yeah.
And it didn't fall apart.
No, we were lucky enough to be the 24th car, so we got to start that main event anyway. And we're anxious to finish that.
Right. So now it looks like you had a little tough week.
Well, there was a huge wreck that you're probably going to have plenty of highlights of in your show.
Yeah, the past week's show, we had tons of highlights from that wreck.
Right, and I almost got around that, but I got caught just as we exited the wreck. I got tagged on the right rear, and it wrecked the right rear corner of the car. And we were very lucky to be able to keep going, and we just kind of limped around the rest of the race and went up with the top 10 finish, but it wasn't pretty.
Right. You can't complain about top 10, though.
No, it just makes for a lot of work to get the car back this week.
Right. Especially because you finished second in points last year, too.
Yeah, we had a rough start to the beginning of last year, too, but this is actually a little better because it's a decent finish anyway. Hopefully we can keep finishing races. The 7th isn't bad, and
it's kind of the key to winning.
Yeah, at least we got
no points is just being out there and finishing no matter where.
Well, what we've got to do is get in a groove where we finish some races, and that way we can put new tires on the car and get a little money ahead maybe and be able to run better. It's tough if you get into a situation where you're wrecking the car off and it gets tough financially and with morale to keep the car going.
So. Now, speaking of money, who's some of the people that help you support this car?
We've got a couple of new sponsors this year. Paul's TV. He used to sponsor my brother Dennis, but they're helping us out this year. And our main sponsor is Town Green Tavern, Denise and Randy Churchill.
Right. And who are related to you somehow?
Yes, yeah. Denise is my sister-in-law.
So it's kind of a big family operation going on.
Yeah, that's nice. And we're real happy to have her helping us out. And her son, Dwayne, is one of our biggest supporters on Saturdays in the pit crew. He's a hard worker.
See him down there mounting up tires and...
Oh, yeah. He sweats and works hard.
That's all the good jobs.
That's it.
That's probably why you're paying the big bucks, all right?
Oh, yeah. He's getting a raise this week.
Oh, good. I'm going to start hanging out with you. Maybe.
And then our other sponsor is Vinny's Pizza. And they've been with us for over 20 years.
Wow. That's a long time. So how long have you been driving?
I've been driving since 1978.
Okay. And I was at home flipping through some old programs, and I found one with you and your father standing in front of, I guess they weren't late models then, they were Pro-Ams? Is that what they were? Grand Ams. And you were wearing this cowboy hat.
Yes. Yeah, well, we got a sponsor called Western Wear, and wherever we want to race, we had to wear a cowboy hat. So.
And your head is this big, and the hat is this big around. Just kind of stuff.
I don't know what happened there. It was a little white hat, right?
Yep.
Yeah. That's the one they gave me for the pictures. So you have to look stupid when you're young. That's a rule.
Okay. I'll remember that from now on. Oh. Now, who else, over the years, you've driven, how many different types of cars have you driven?
Well, we ran the street stock division that turned into the late model division for when I was a teenager. And then
and you go to Torino in that, right?
Right. We ran Torinos. And all my brothers did, too. And then when I was in college, we started running a pro stock. We ran a pro stock for a year. And then I didn't race much in the early 80s. And then Coach East, Bob Brown, and I got together on a modified in 1984. Was our first year with it. And we ran it that year and ran halfway decent. And then then the track went SK in 85. And we ran that year and for a couple more years. And then again for a while in 88. 87, 88, 89, we didn't get to run very much, and then lately we've had another spate of not racing, but we're trying to get back and run 2 full seasons in a row, which I've never been able to do before, so they changed.
This is a challenge for you.
Yeah.
You started out racing, how old were you when you started racing?
16.
Racing?
The late model, start, whatever you want to call it.
And did you do quarter midgets before that?
Well, I ran 1 year at quarter midgets and then got too big for the cars. So.
I could see that. I remember coming up here when I was about yay big, and there's a whole row of quarter midgets in here.
Yeah.
And you just sit in car to car to car to car.
Yeah, we all had quarter midgets for a while. When I was running, we only had 2. But then Dennis and David and Bobby all had their own cars. And,
right.
And we had a lot of fun with that. I was a starter.
Were you?
At quarter midget races. Yeah, for 3 or 4 years I was a starter. Wow. And that was pretty interesting. So I know a little bit of the point of view there.
And I was the assistant starter. Right, at the Speedbowl. My first season out there.
Yeah, this is a kid I've known as long as he's been alive, and it's funny because he did do your stern face for him. Let's see your stern face.
Okay, hold on. I don't know if I can. I don't have the sunglasses.
You got to try it.
I need the sunglasses. That was like my signature.
I was trying to steal a couple of spots on a restart, and MG came out of the starter stand, came down and brandished a flag at me, and went into the car and started yelling at me. And it was all I could do to not cry. It was so funny. I was laughing. He got mad at me. It was the funniest thing.
Oh, it's intimidating when you're standing up there. Now all of a sudden, there's all these modifieds coming at you. And you don't know, because I can't see the driver when you're standing on the track because of the angle. So you're going, do they see me? Well, I hope they see me, because otherwise this is really going to hurt.
It hurt a lot. Yeah, I got run over by a quarter midget. That was bad enough.
Hey, Mike, thanks a lot for coming on the show this week. And you did good. The broadcasting school paid off. Thanks a lot. We'll be back with more Speedbowl Scene right after these messages. Hi, we're back on Speedbowl Scene. Coming up, all the exciting action from the mini stock feature event.
Waterford captured a second straight mini-stock feature at the Speedbowl Saturday night after starting 14th in the 24-car field. Up until the 95 season, Carnes had never won a mini-stock race in his 2 years of competition. When Dan Darnstead, number 53, and Al Royce, number 23, got crossed up on the front straightaway on lap 5, Mike Fernald, his 7X car of Monster, took a violent ride into the outside barrier. Fernald escaped uninjured, but his car suffered extensive damage. Early race leader John Sunbutt in the 66 car put a little distance on the field, but Carnes kept moving up. He went into second while passing Ernie Petraning with 01 car on the backstretch on lap 6 and overtook Sembrook between turns 3 and 4 on the 13th circuit. Sembach held on for second with Bertrand third, John Stalina in the 2-car fourth, and Darrell Brockett in the 6X came in fifth.
Stock B main, which is a new addition to the Speedbowl Saturday night lineup, where the first 2 finishers can either take the money or move up to the Strictly Stock feature event. Here's a look at that race.
Feature event winner Bud Keeney from the 38 of Clinton won Saturday night's 12-lap B main for the Strictly Stock, while Ken Cassidy in the 97 was second. Both drivers opted to drive in the feature, with Keeney coming in 6th and Cassidy 16th.
As always, the Strictly Stocks ran an exciting feature at the Speedbowl.
Stock features at Waterford have a tendency of putting the spectators on the edges of their seats. Plenty of cars and an equal amount of action can usually do that. Saturday night's winner, 1994 division rookie Joe Cambino of West Haven in 83, became the race's 5th and final leader when he got by Scott Cook in the number 1 car on the 11th lap of the 20-lap feature. Early race leader Chuck Rogers in the 33 was passed by Dave Dempsey, who in turn was passed by Cook. Cambino, driving a new car this year, put together by crew chief Dickie Mills, got his second career win at Waterford over Ed Reed Jr. in the 27F. Cook, defending division points champion, and Charles Bailey in the 94, and a fast-charging Mike Caprio in the 50X who started deep in the field.
right back to Speedbowl Scene after a word from our sponsors.
Coming up, all the action from the Speedbowl's premier division, the 400 horsepower SK Modifieds.
And almost unable to move at times, yet determined to drive, Brookfield and Jimmy Broderick wheeled the Harry Wyant-owned number 3 modified to victory Saturday night at the Speedbowl. Broderick was banged up on Friday night in a devastating crash while racing at the Stafford Motor Speedway and claimed after his victory at Waterford that it was tough just getting into his race car. A second lap crash eliminated some contenders, including Bob Potter in the 52, Mark Lajeunesse in the 33, and Tucker Reynolds in the 716 car. Ricky Young in the 0 became the early race leader, being chased closely by Mark Vaccaro in the 58. 3 more cautions slowed the field before Vaccaro finally caught Young on lap 17, only to be passed by Broderick coming off the 4th turn of the 29th circuit. Broderick got the win, the 7th of his career at Waterford, ahead of Burt Marvin in the 7, Ricky Young in the 0, Jeff Pearl in the 71, and Todd Ceravola in the 31. Last week's feature event winner who made the feature in his backup car. Saturday night's racing ended with a 25-lap feature for the late models. Tommy Fox on Saturday night's 25-lap late model stock car feature. His 39th career victory at the Speedbowl. Fox moved into the ride normally, handled by Tom Goodrow, the 1995 season after a year's absence from the track. A violent accident on the race's first lap eliminated the cars of Mark Axelson in the 7X, Larry Cody in the 89, George McGugan in the 22, and Dan Green in the 23M, and forced a lengthy cleanup delay. Once the race resumed, Fox in the 3 pulled ahead of the field and claimed later that good handling, not power, kept him out in front Saturday night. Mike Holdridge in the 82 was able to close some in the late stages, but Fox held him off for the victory. Holdridge came in second, followed by John Brower Jr. in the 39, Phil Rondo in the 19, and Matt Kobelik in the 40. He started 17th and made a late race charge.
right back to Speedbowl Scene after a word from our sponsors.
With the 1995 racing season underway, here's a look at a few of the events coming up this season. Watching Speedbowl Scene, and a special thanks to the Gaida family for allowing us to tape the show in their garage. We'll be back next week with the fastest half hour in auto racing, Speedbowl Scene.